I'll get my revenge!
Alright, welcome to my tanking guide for SNS Dagger. It's a video that some of you have requested because you're having trouble tanking, I guess, in some tier 2 dungeons. In the previous, well, just previously in the beginning of this video, you're going to see me tanking Carmine Rage Island. I've been trying to farm it for the Shadow Harvester boots. I need it for this build. I'll be releasing, well, after I talk about this PvE guide, I'll be in the same video, in this video, I'll talk about some gear and what you guys could run, you know, considering gear. But I'm trying to get these boots from Carmine Rage Island, so that's why I'm running it. And now I'll go over a guide on how to tank tier 2 dungeons with SNS and Dagger. So you don't need as much gear as I have. I've been tanking, well, every time I run a co-op dungeon, I tank. Very rarely do I run as a DPS, and if you do, you could just run my PvP poison build. It does a lot of damage in PvE as well. Or you could just run this with slightly different skills as a DPS if you want, but you'll probably find it more likely that you're able to run a dungeon as a tank, which is what I do. Now, I won't go over the gear because, well, I'll go over the gear later, because not much has changed. Like my weapons changed from my PvP video, but you can run Karnix's Netherblade. In fact, Karnix's Netherblade is actually better for PvE, because you get more health. So let's start this off. So first of all, your stats are going to be a lot more different. So normally in my PvP video, in PvP I run these stats. So 50, 40, and 40 perception. 50 strength, 50 dex, 44 perception. In PvE, I switch it up a bit. I lose a bit of dex and perception because you don't need that much hit chance in PvE. Strength is much more valuable, more health, just overall more tanky. So pump up to 60 strength and then 30 dex and 30 perception is good enough for PvE. I'll go, like I said, I'm going to go over the gear again, or the gear for this class in general, towards the end of this video. Now let's go over the skills that I'm running in PvE. So I'll do a quick overview again. Shield, survival technique, Q block, standard. Sorry. I'm running Cleaving Moonlight, Piercing Strike, Shadow Strike, Strategic Rush, Annihilation Blade, Thundercloud Bombing, Provoking Roar, Chain Hook, Immortal Pride, Stalwart Bastion, Counter Barrier, and Lightning Infusion. These are the skills I'm running, and the passives I'm running is Skillful Evasion, Resilient Mind, Impenetrable, Aegis Shield, Assassin's Instincts, Shadow Walker, Graceful Edge, and Spectrum of Agony. So this is my skill build for PvE. If you want to follow it, you could take a look at it here and pause it, select the skills. I'm going to go over the specializations now, but before I do, I'm going to go over the most important abilities here. So if you take a look at the video just before of me running Carmine, you could see that a lot of my party actually died, and we ended up pretty much completing it as a 4-man and a 3-man. One thing you might notice as well is that about halfway through the boss fight, or towards the end of it, I wasn't really getting healed by the healer, and the healer wasn't even a full healer. It was a greatsword tome player. It wasn't even a proper healer, and I was surviving the dungeon. So you could see how this is a pretty effective tank in a dungeon. So the main skills right now for keeping aggro, I'm going to go over it, is going to be your piercing strike, um, the provoking roar, and chain hook. Now, in the beginning of a dungeon, you are going to start off with chain hook because it does generate maximum aggro from the boss. And then after you hit chain hook, you're going to follow up with provoking roar. After provoking roar, because you're running Spectrum of Agony, you're going to hit cleaving moonlight, the double cleaving moonlight, because you got consecutive use on it, and then a piercing strike. This is going to be your aggro rotation here, okay? So I'll go over again. Chain hook, provoking roar, cleaving moonlight, piercing strike, right? This is your aggro generation in a dungeon, in a tier 2 dungeons. Now, your survivability is going to rely on 3 abilities, which is, 4 abilities. I'll go over why in a second. So, it's going to be, once again, chain hook. You might be surprised why this gives you survivability, but I'll go over it in a second, because a lot of people don't realize what this ability does when you combine it with daggers. But Immortal Pride, the heal, it's very useful, keeps your health up, defense increase on it, because that's what I take in skill specializations. It makes you very tanky, especially against bosses. Now, Stalwart Bastion, you're going to run the standard version, just with cooldown reduced. Um, you know, a little bit of damage reduction helps. For example, in Carmine Rage Island, when you get the axe on you, if you pop this Stalwart Bastion, you won't take any damage. And if your teammate has the axe on them, the thing that does damage over time, you can give them this if you have a chance to run up to them and give it to them, and they won't take as much damage either. Counter barrier, pretty standard, increases your block chance, reflects some damage to the boss, and refreshes your piercing strike so you can keep aggro. You just spam piercing strike pretty much. Now the other abilities like lightning infusion and cleaving moonlight, they all pair very well together, with Spectrum of Agony, cleaving moonlight, and lightning infusion, because with this lightning infusion you're giving the boss thunderclouds. It'll make the boss take more damage from the DPS in your party, and from you as well, so it's always good. Annihilation Blade, just to throw it in there, increases the damage of all your, shield abilities. It's very useful, especially when you're clearing mobs out in the beginning of a dungeon. Group them up, pop this, pop a counter barrier, they'll take more damage from the reflection damage. Also, when you pop Lightning Infusion, you can put Thunderclouds on all the mobs if you hit them all with Annihilation Blade, so it makes it, once again, easier for your DPS to kill things. And Thundercloud Bombing, just to bomb some targets, quickly kill something. Now, I'll go over the specializations, and I'm going to explain to you why Chain Hook increases your survivability. So, Piercing Strike is going to have, the AoE cone and aggro increase. Counter Barrier is going to have the cooldown reduction and damage increase. Provoking Roar, you're just going to go with the bottom two. You don't need Cleaving Roar. It doesn't generate aggro. It does something else. It makes it more squishy, but it's fine. Provoking Roar is good enough. You gotta take the cooldown reduced just so you can spam it, keep aggro, and you don't need to take additional damage. Put it somewhere else if you want. You could put it in duration or anywhere. You could choose where to put it. I just put it in additional damage because it doesn't really matter. Like honestly, um it's very easy to run dungeons with this build, and I'm surprised more people don't, to be honest. Um, anyway, Immortal Pride, you're gonna take these three. So defense increase, health regen. This is gonna keep you alive, health regen, and the defense increase is gonna make you very tanky. When you pop it, you have over 3k in all defenses. Mana cost reduce is something you have to take pretty much, because I'll show you. So you're going to be spamming Immortal Pride as much as you can, or it's like your oh fuck button. When you're low health or half HP, you're going to pop it just to give your healer some breathing room. Or if you run a dungeon like I just did with someone running Tome and Greatsword. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not like a full healer. Like there are better healer builds, right? So Immortal Pride is going to help you in that situation. By the way, the dungeon I ran, it was a random queue. I didn't run it with guildies. I didn't run it with people I know. I just random queued into it. That's how I run dungeons. I do run dungeons with guildies, and it is a lot faster. But I just wanted to show you guys what it's like running it as a random party. Anyway, Immortal Pride base as a base, it costs 280 mana to pop it. That's a lot for you. So you're gonna kill your mana using this. The mana cost reduced makes it only 56. It's nothing. It's like a free heal every what 1 minute 30 seconds. It's a no-brainer. So these three are what you're gonna take. I think I forgot to say in Stalwart Bastion you take cooldown reduced, and you just take all of the nodes in Annihilation Blade because it's a decent amount of damage you're getting and it's very useful. You can swap out the AoE if you don't want to use it, but I use it. It's very useful. In Daggers, Cleaving Moonlight, I'm running consecutive use and effect and accumulation. Thundercloud Bombing, I'm just taking one node, which is the Thundercloud Bombing node. Lightning Infusion, the Lightning Infusion node. And that is all for the skills. So I explained how these three go well in survivability. Now you see this. Wait, game's a bit frozen. Give me 2 seconds. I'm lagging a little bit. It's okay. So anyway, the Shadow Walker ability, right? I've explained it in my previous videos. There's a numerous ways you can activate it. Before I go farther into it, I'm gonna explain to you guys that if you look at the video before, I was getting hit by the boss, but there were a lot of misses. The boss was, missing his attacks on me. So, and that is from his magic attacks and some of his range attacks, because my evasion is pretty high. So, for example, when my passive is active, Shadow Walker, I have 1,700 and 2,258, and that is increased by where is it? That's also increased by skillful evasion, so you'll be well above 2,000 ranged and close to 3k magic evasion. You'll be evading a lot of bosses' magic attacks and range attacks. Melee attacks, you're just gonna have to block them, or you would use counter barrier to block them, and these two to mitigate the damage. Your healer could give you a hand with that, I guess. For everything else, you'll be dodging. You wouldn't have to worry about it. Your Cleaving Moonlight procs it. The Shield Rush procs it, but mostly you'll be proccing it from your Cleaving Moonlight. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that Chain Hook, the reason why I said it helps you with survivability, is that it actually activates Shadow Walker. It activates this ability because for some reason Chain Hook is a mobility ability. I'll show it to you guys. If you look at my tooltips down here, just under my mana, I'm gonna Chain Hook this random zombie here, and it procs Shadow Walker. See? It also increases your damage reduction by 14. I don't know why it increases your damage reduction by 14. It's kind of a broken ability already. I don't know why the devs added that, but it helps. So remember, Shadow Walker, more damage reduction and more evasion. And it gets activated from Chain Hook, which is very strange, but that's why you take Chain Hook here. It helps you in tanking, pretty much. So yeah, that's my rotation for tanking. You do use potions. You don't have to use the big potions. Just use the green ones. If you play the game enough, if you're in a guild, you should have an endless amount of these. You shouldn't even be using them that much, other than in dungeons anyway. If you do use them, you could just use the standard ones, the tiny green ones. I don't even have them in my inventory because I don't use these. I only use them in dungeons. And you could save your big ones for PvP if you want. Food, you don't need to run food. I'm running it because I just have food. I just pop this boss hit chance one. You can pop anything really. any blue food, white food, green food, just anything that sort of helps you a little bit. You don't have to, it's just do it. It'll help you in the long run, I guess. And use a mana regen potion. You can get these from your guild shop. They're pretty useful. Increase your mana regen by a little bit. Consumables aren't that important, except the potion. I just put one on there, use it in conjunction with your Immortal Pride. It'll help you in the dungeon in the long run. If you have any questions, leave some comments below. I'll gladly reply like I always do. Yeah, so now we're gonna go over the gear. I will open Questlog for that. Alright, so let's get into the gear I currently have. Compared to my PvP video, I have changed a few pieces of gear out that I have. I do have, before I go into that actually, I do have Nurma's SNS right here. I just haven't traded it like I have said before. When I do, I will be using it. I'll show you guys what it's going to look like in Questlog. Yeah, so let's go over what I currently have. So let's see here. Right now I am running Cornelius's Animated Edge. A lot of people ask why I run this, but compared to Karnix's Netherblade, for PvP, this is a better weapon. Just because of the block chance is higher. So that I don't know why people say that an extra 1,600 health is better than a 4% block chance increase. In my opinion, the block chance is much more valuable, especially if you're playing SNS Dagger. It procs counter barrier a lot more, which means whoever's attacking you will take a lot more damage. And since it procs counter barrier a lot more, you could spam shield strike more often, right? So yeah, that's why I take the increased block chance. Also, collision chance is very useful. It means that your chain pull will pretty much be a guaranteed hit if you change it into controlling rake. And yeah, collision chance is pretty useful. You don't need it because people don't have much collision resistance. They tend not to, so it's definitely not the best in slot weapon. But right now I'm running it because it is better than Karnix's Netherblade and it's very cheap. Nobody runs it, hence why it's cheap on the auction house, and it is a free SNS basically if you have the Lucent to get it, or you could just go over to the boss and kill it because nobody does the boss. I got I've run the boss, the peace boss, many times with just some guild friends, and we've got this weapon to drop for us because nobody else is in the raid except us. So if you want Cornelius's Animated Edge, you can go for it. It's not best in slot, probably second best in slot for SNS Dagger. Yeah, all the other gear pieces are the same. I do now have this Icy Necklace of Strength. My hit chance is a lot higher, 814. Yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with this build. Now, what I am working towards is slightly changing now that I have Nurmas though. So this is what I'm running now. I'm not going to go over all the gear pieces because I've already done it in my PvP video before. But I am going to go over the gear pieces that I am going to be working towards. Now, let's take a look here. Where is it? This one. Yeah. So this is what my build will look like when Nurma is out, or when I get my Nurma up. So I'm going to be running Nurma's Sword of Echoes with hit chance, heavy attack chance, and crit hit chance. Darkslayer Dagger with the same thing. I'll keep the same helmet with the same traits on it. Cape with the same traits on it. Max health, skill damage resistance, debuff duration. You can find this on my quest log. It'll be linked in the description. It's in pretty much all my videos. Yeah. Now, I am going to change a few things out here in a second. I'll tell you what. So Phantom Wolf Tunic, I'll probably end up keeping this. Don't need to switch it out. No need to. I will not be taking Phantom Wolf gloves. These are good though. If you have them, use them. Don't need to change out. Your hit chance is going to be a bit lower though if you do use them. I'll probably be keeping my heroic grips of resistance with these traits on it: magic evasion, range evasion, and magic endurance, because your hit chance will be a lot higher. So it's just going to be much more helpful, basically. Now let's see. I would change a few things here just to get 40 decks. So yeah, this is what I would be running, or what I'm working towards. Now it's going to be Nurma Sword of Echoes, same cape, same helmet, Phantom Wolf Tunic. I don't care about the two-piece bonus damage set effect from Phantom Wolf because it's not that valuable compared to, say, the crit hit damage increase. In PvE it is, but in PvP not so much. And that is what I am playing at the end of the day, is making this for PvP. So yeah, the pants I'll be going for is a Shadow Harvester trousers, and the boots I will be going for is a Shadow Harvester boots. Jewelry is all the same. The only difference now is, I have mentioned it before, is you'll be going for Belt of Bloodlust. It's a very valuable piece of jewelry. Works with a lot of builds. You'll be having about 15.8k health, which is enough for tier 2 dungeons. You don't need more. If you want more HP, you can change a few pieces out here. Like, if you want to keep, say, the bonus damage, you don't need the Shadow Harvester pants. You can keep the Phantom Wolf ones, and your health will be a lot higher. I'll quickly show you guys. It'll be over 16k. If you want to run that much health, you can. You'll be a lot tankier. You'll do less damage, but you'll be tankier. Which is probably what I'll end up with, because I really can't be bothered to go get the Shadow Harvester pants. But the boots is what I'm going for, because the boots I currently have don't really give stat points, just a bit of crit hit chance, which isn't really that useful. But overall, you're going to be going for 50 strength, 40 dex, and either 44 perception or 43 perception, like here. And these are the jewelry pieces you're going to have to get. They're very useful, especially when tier 2 gear comes out. You're probably still going to keep this jewelry, unless you find better pieces, but a lot of people end up keeping their tier 1 stuff while they're upgrading their armor and weapons. But yeah, this is going to be my Nurma set, pretty much. Oh, gotta change this back to the Harvester trousers. These are a lot better though than the Phantom Wolf trousers, just because the hit chance you get from it. It boosts your hit chance quite high, 881. I know people still think that's low, but right now in the state of the game, it's good enough, really. I don't have a problem with 800 hit chance. I do hit people, they don't evade my attacks. I don't know what else to say, really. Unless someone's running like some crazy melee evasion build, yeah, you'll be fine with this. You shouldn't have a problem. In tier 2, obviously, when tier 2 gear comes out, I will make a new build. Will be slightly different from this. I already have a tier 2 build. I just will not release it until tier 2 gear is here. It'll be hard to explain otherwise, and I won't be able to show it off until tier 2 gear is out, so I would like to do that before I go into depth with a tier 2 build. But yeah, this is what I would go for. This is probably best in slot right now for SNS Dagger. Unless you're running a melee evasion build, you change the armor pieces out. You'll have less hit chance, you'll be tankier. You'll be squishy against mages though. That's the only thing. Magic will kill you if you play plate armor, but greatsword players won't kill you. So that's a good trade-off, I guess. But if you do have Nurma, you don't need to run plate armor. This Nurma passive for the 0.3 second stun is pretty broken. when you use it on greatsword users or archers who are using flash wave, um, mages who are charging up a comet or whatever the hell that ability is called, this will stop it. It'll stop them from charging up that ability. It when it happens to you, it feels like a micro lag. It's almost like this weapon gives you the ability to give lag to people. It's a pretty broken SNS. Uh, in my opinion, it's one of the best weapons in the game. Um, so yeah, if you can get Nurma's, get it. If you can't, you could run what I'm running now with Cornelius. It is pretty great as it is. But because I have Norma, this is oh wait, not this one. This is what I'm working towards. There are some builds in here that are very different than what I've just said. It's just me playing around mostly, seeing what I can come up with. Um, I like to play around with this, see what happens. If you guys take a look at it, you could see what sort of builds I have here. It changes all the time. Um, for those of you who are struggling to build this class, I have made a early um, sort of build, early 50 build here with gear pieces that should be pretty easy for you to get, especially in the current state of the game. These are very cheap pieces of armor, and this purple piece of armor you should be able to get from the main quest. If you haven't got it, just run anything here. It doesn't really matter because with this gear, with the blue gear, you'll mostly be doing PvE until you get the correct pieces of gear you need to do PvP. You can do PvP with blue gear, um, with this blue gear that I made, but remember, you won't be surviving as much. You'll be hitting um, people a decent amount because I think your hit chance is high enough, I guess. Actually, no, it's about the same as it is now, but you definitely won't be surviving as much. I just need to warn you guys, okay? So when you play this, just run dungeons until you get the gear you need to, perform properly in PvP. Because a lot of people right now, they have full purple gear. They've maxed out their builds in tier one. Um, and blue gear well, having full blue gear doesn't really help. You could run this as a group, maybe as a DPS. This build works as well in dungeons. While you're leveling up or while you're leveling up your gear. You can also tank with this blue gear. It's you could tank tier one dungeons. Tier two you might have a hard time. I would say just tank tier one dungeons until you get um, better gear. But you could probably tank a tier two dungeon with a good healer. With the skill build that I showed you guys with blue gear, with this blue gear set, should be fine. As long as you have a good healer. Other than that, you should be good. What's another thing that's very important that you do if you do decide to, tank like I do in dungeons is you do have to level up your abilities. A lot of people forget to do this. So all my abilities, as you can see, are either purple, messing up my words here, but are either purple level 1 or higher, well, purple level 2 or higher, um, or maxed. I max my damage abilities out. So just remember to level your abilities. It helps a lot. You shouldn't have a hard time doing dungeons with this build. Yeah, that's the end of the video. I know it's been a quite long one. If you have any more questions, leave it in the comment section below. I've just gotten back from holiday, so I'm a little bit confused on what I need to do myself. As you can see, my tokens up here are full. I got back today. Just thought I'd quickly make this video before the spear comes out in 2 days or one day, whenever it comes out. But yeah, you could run dungeons with this, no problem. If you have any more questions, leave it in the comment. Please subscribe and like if you guys have the time to. It helps me a lot. And yeah, thank you for watching. Goodbye.